All right, gang, welcome back. Episode 45, hard to believe, of Canes Local, alongside my two trusty cohorts, Kyle and Cam. Welcome back. And a few games to dive into this week and some challenges in the way of the Hurricanes. So we'll dive into those. We'll talk about the goaltending situation because I think it's starting to ramp itself up into a real scenario that we need to talk about. Our lack of scoring here lately, that's a bit of a worrisome spot for us too. So we'll talk about that. We'll do a little trivia, and head into 3 stars and wrap it for the week. I'll keep it a little shorter this week. So guys, how was your week? And man, not a great week for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, week's good. Not much happening, but we're going, I think, to the beach today to take the dog there. And then we're going down to Connecticut tomorrow to do a little Christmas celebration. So not much though.
No, well, you'll be here. We'll be in studio,
Yeah,
and next
exactly.
week. Next
We'll
week,
be together at one
right?
point. We might have
Yeah.
an in-person recording. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, it's good here too. Yeah. Not much changed here. So
rinse,
just
rinse,
another week in the books. Yeah.
another week in the books. So, all right. Well, same on this end. Just a lot of holiday prep, and looking forward to having you guys in studio, so to speak, next week, which is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Have everybody around. So let's talk Hurricanes. San Jose was an absolute train wreck, except for maybe 10 minutes of that game. But I think the Canes are really in a funk right now. Um, they played okay against Ottawa. I mean, they played steady. I guess give Ottawa a lot of credit, but man, that San Jose game was absolutely horrid. And we just could never. We played half speed. It felt like, but give San Jose credit. They came out. They ran roughshod over us in the first two periods, and then the third period something clicked after about 5 minutes in, and the Canes kind of took over the game at that point. But thankfully it wasn't too little, too late. But they got to be better going forward because these aren't teams that we should be struggling against at this point in the season.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, it's definitely worrisome, but Carolina always goes through like a 2-3 week stretch. It just typically happens right before playoffs for us. So I'd rather get it out of the way now. Hopefully this is our 2 to 3 week stretch where we just can't score a goal. We can't seem to just find any rhythm, any routine, can't connect passes. And then going into playoffs this year, we actually are going in with some sort of confidence and uplift and beat. But we're not good. Our passes are all off the tape. It feels like nobody can receive a pass. Guys that were producing at a very high and intensive level just aren't doing the same. I will turn over to this point, but I think Marty Necas has been quite the polar opposite from the first 90% of the season that we've seen in these past 4 or 5 games. Just no compete level. I'm going to preface this at the end, but just no compete level, no kind of wanting to be that guy. It seemed like it was almost like he was ready just to pass it off to somebody else and then hopefully they score so he can keep his assist streak alive. It's like, no, you can't play that way. You have to play the right way and do everything the correct way in order to get those opportunities to get points. I think he took a massive step last night against Ottawa. We are recording on Saturday this week, but I think he took a massive step last night against Ottawa. I thought he was actually physical. I think he had 4 hits on the stat sheet, which is for Marty Necas out of this universe. I thought he was actually back checking. I thought he was playing with speed the right way, making plays. It just never ended up. I mean, we got goalied last night. I'm going to be honest. Like, I know it's Carolina's MO to outshoot a team. There's games where Carolina outshoots teams and every shot's from the outside and we make the goalie look like a superstar. That wasn't one of those games last night. In all honesty, if Linus Ullmark didn't stand on his head last night, it's probably a different score going into the third period. And then I don't think Ottawa has that gather that they had in the third period to really turn the game on its head. I mean, to be completely honest with you, Linus made probably 7 or 8 10 bell saves. It's like you can't can't help that portion. I thought we actually got to our game last night. I thought we actually played our game last night. We're going to give up opportunities defensively. I know that. I think second goal, Kochetkov wants back. But I thought overall, as the week progressed, we're getting back to our game, which is a massive positive sign.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm in the minority here. I thought they played really well last night.
I did too.
I actually
No, that's what I
enjoyed
said.
watching that game.
Yeah.
The San Jose game, we were in the arena. I was honestly thinking about just sitting out in the little alcove area for the third period,
Drinking beer
or watching another sport on the TVs they got in there. Like I was so done because that stuff is terrible. I couldn't stand it. But yeah, I mean, they kind of carried over what they did in the third from the San Jose game. They carried that into the Ottawa game. I thought they had a good start. They had a good second. They had a good third. They just got, like you said, they just got goalied. I mean, Ullmark was better than Kochetkov.
Mm-hmm.
That was that at the end of the day, that was the game.
Ullmark was perfect.
Mm-hmm. Like Ullmark was literally the better goalie, and it wasn't very close. Like he was the better goalie. I mean, the Canes didn't give up a whole lot of grade A chances to Ottawa, which is good. I thought Kochetkov had I would say probably 2 or 3 like really, really good saves. But yeah, that second one, man, he's got to save that. Like you have to, or you have to at least be in the right position to save it.
Yeah.
The problem is that he's, and I know that's the way he plays. Like he plays upright like that. But any other goalie that's top tier is making that save.
Yeah.
Ullmark's making that save. Hellebuck's making that save. Ottinger's making that save. Shesterkin's like, I go down the list of 15 goalies in front of him that's making that save. So I think that's I don't know. I don't know if I know they're in the goalie market at this point, and we'll kind of touch on that in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I liked what I saw from the team. Obviously, they couldn't score; they got goalied, but they just need to build on that. That's what they need to build on. Is like, look, it's not gonna. You're not gonna get shut out every game. So
no.
Just keep pushing, and the goals will come.
The way I look at that Ottawa game, if that's probably I would say 17 other goalies in the NHL outside of maybe the top 5 or 6, because they probably do similar things in that situation. But you look at any other, even Ullmark on a different night, that's not the same game.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's just, he had an unbelievable game. I mean, he had 8 saves where, like I said, any other goalie in the NHL on any other given night, goals. And then all of a sudden the tide turns in Carolina's favor. They start getting some mojo, some juju. They get 2 or 3 to fall for them. I don't think it's the same game, because I think Carolina would have gone into the third period up 1 or up 2, and then it would have been a different kind of feeling to the game. But like I said, it's nothing to take away from the way Carolina played. They played really well. Kochetkov, what he struggles with, and I've noticed this significantly, is that when he commits to go low, most goalies, when they go down, they stay down. He goes down and then will try and hop back up, and then all of a sudden every team's beating a 5-hole when he's getting back up. And it's like, dude, if you're going down and you go down, I understand you want to get back up to make yourself bigger. I get that. But it's the NHL. If you commit, you commit.
Like, yes, especially if you're in that tight. If they got guys in that tight, there's no reason to go back up.
No,
none.
I mean, there is, in the sense of he wasn't. I mean, he wasn't tight enough to where he couldn't elevate the puck. He still could have gotten it vertical. I mean, he was bottom of the circle while Kochetkov was in the blue, so he had room to elevate if he wanted to. So I get why Kochetkov wants to get back up to take away that upper angle, but at the same vein of breath, it's a lot harder to elevate the puck than it is to shoot it right through the legs. And so I just take away the bigger threat, which is the 5-hole, which you've gotten beat on the past, I think, 5 games in a row.
Yeah, he does it all the time. Yeah. And he's doing it when he goes down and comes back up. It's
every time he goes down and then he soft commits to it. Yeah, he's not being beat clean. It's just that he's going down. He's pre-committing the shot. The shot doesn't come, so then he tries to readjust, get back up onto his feet. But the time he gets back up onto his feet, you can't get up and explode down at the same time. So as his momentum's going forward up, the puck's going below his legs. And then by the time he gets to his place where he can reset and explode back down, there's too much turnover time. You have to stay low and just seal that 5-hole, because he's just going to keep getting beat low.
Yeah. And I think we said it in the pregame too. And I think that's it's still true to form, is that he has to make that save. We called it that save, and he's still struggling to get I get it. It's, he's gonna learn from it.
It's a hard league.
It's a hard thing to do.
hard league.
Especially if you're used to playing that way and you've always done it that way.
Yeah.
And to retrain your brain to not do it that way is tough. But again, for him to be in the same breath as the guys Cam's mentioned, he's got to figure that piece of it out, because he makes that save, that game is different, and I believe it's a different outcome, because we were pressing really hard and we had
I just
really,
don't think we beat Ullmark last night, to be
Yeah.
honest.
I mean,
I
at a
think we do,
1-0
though.
game. I mean, I think they find one. Like I'm not putting the game. I mean, Kochekov only let in 2 goals. Like
Yeah.
I want to get that kind of out of the way. Like he still played well, but it's one of those where you got to recognize, like, okay, the guy on the other end is playing out of his mind. I have to either match that level or be above it, because this is going to be like, you got to realize that.
I think he did recognize it, because if you see him after the goal, he looks bullshit at the fact that he let
he was really disappointed that he let
yes.
that one.
So I think he knows
and
he knows it. It's just it's more of a mental thing now.
Yeah.
I guess.
And I hope that doesn't. I hope that he takes that mental and works it in the right direction, which I think he will.
He seems to have in the previous times. He's less aggressive than he has been even at the start of this year. There was one time he got out there and I was like, God, don't hurt yourself. But outside of that, I feel like he's contained a little bit of that. Remember when he first came into the NHL, he wanted to fight everybody. Now look at him. Like he's a lot calmer, he's cooler in the net. I just give him more time. But like I 100% agree with you guys. We need that save out of him. I'm just like, this is not on Kochetkov from the start, because he needs a reliable partner. He shouldn't have played he shouldn't have played both games this week, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree.
He'll probably play Sunday.
He'll probably play Sunday.
That's the thing. He'll probably play Sunday. So it's like, hey, we need somebody reliable next to him, because at a certain point, it's not on the 24-year-old to drive you to the Stanley Cup Finals. He needs some sort of support behind him. Like even you look at Shesterkin, his first season, his like real coming out party was the bubble year. He was 24 years old, but he had Henrik Lundqvist and who is the guy that just got traded from Colorado?
Georgiev.
He had those 2 guys sitting in front of him. He was the 3rd string goalie in that bubble run, but he wasn't the one that got relied on. He got put into the Game 3 situation. They lose next year. He's with Georgiev all season, and then he ends up taking over that number 1 role, but he's able to kind of get that translation. At 26 years old, he was the true and out number 1.
Yeah.
Kochetkov needs run support.
Yeah, no, actually, I hadn't really thought about it, but you're right. He's sort of been thrust into a number 1 role without a lot of on the bench time behind a Frederick Anderson, who's in the lineup playing consistently. And so you're right. I hadn't really thought about it, but you're right.
Every season he's in for like 20 games in a row, it feels like, because we just, even last year, Antti Ranta and Freddie both go down. We had Spencer Martin as the backup. We ran Kochetkov. The year before that, his quote unquote rookie season, Freddie goes down. Anderson or Ranta's playing like doo-doo. Kochetkov plays like 9 or straight 8 in a row. It's like he's already getting thrusted into this number 1 role, and he hasn't gotten any of that learning curve down because he hasn't had time to. He's just been thrusted into the limelight, and it's like we need to give him somebody to work with.
Yeah, no, I agree, and now that you say it that way, I'm going to give him a little bit of rope here. It's because he hasn't gotten that support. So good point. I appreciate that, because I was like, dude, he's got to get it figured out. But really, he's only 24, and yes, that's a lot to ask, especially in that league. As a goaltender,
it's the best league in the world.
Yeah.
In any other league, that little utter up down flutter, probably he gets away with it.
Yeah.
And he probably makes another save off of it.
Yeah.
This is the only league, maybe the KHL, but even the KHL, I think he probably get away with it a little bit more. Yep. The boards are further out, so there's a lot more space, so you have a little bit more time. This is the best league in the world on the smallest sheet of ice that you play hockey on. Like, everything is coming at you exponentially faster. It's going to take some time to get used to that portion of it. And typically what happens is you have a goalie that you can learn behind, to where you're only playing 20 games a year and you're learning these things through practice and through time on ice and working with the scratches, not running into, McDavid and Draisaitl in your, 22nd game in the NHL. Like, it's just, I'm sorry, but the kid hasn't even played 100 games yet in the NHL, and this is what he's at. He's the guy. Here's the keys to the city. You're the guy.
Yeah. So I guess let's segue into I'll call it runs. We'll call it run support. At this point, we've seen the hit a dry spell on scoring. So I mean, he can do his part. And to your point, he did only let in 2 goals last night. But what's happened? What's happened? You know what's happened to the production up front? And did we see that coming back? And do we see that coming back now with what you guys saw out of the Ottawa game?
Cam, I'll let you go
Potentially.
first on this one.
I mean, like I said, I'm kind of, I'm not like I guess I'm kind of indifferent on kind of everything at this point, just because, you know, this is kind of how I expected the season to go. Like I expected there to be a lot of ups, a lot of downs. I didn't expect it to be smooth sailing like last year or the year before. I definitely didn't. I thought when, the Canes were going on their run at the beginning of the season, everybody was like, oh, they didn't miss a beat. They're going to be better this year. It's like, well, okay, can they do it the whole year? You know, any team can do great things in, a 10 game span, but can you do it over 82? That's the big difference. So I think that this is where I expected the Canes to be. Luckily, New York is awful. They are terrible.
So
They're
is the
really
rest of the
bad.
Metro, which is
They're
nice.
well, I
Outside
mean,
of
the rest of the
Washington and
Metro
New
is kind
Jersey.
of. I mean, Pittsburgh's starting to come alive a little bit. I mean, they put up 9 on Montreal the other night, which is
Yeah, but they're
crazy.
so far back that it's giving us some breathing room right now.
They're only 7 points behind us. They're at 30. I mean, well, I understand we're like probably 2 or 3 games in hand of everybody behind us,
Mm-hmm.
so that I understand. But yeah, I mean, Washington is still chugging along even without Ovi, so they're still pulling away. They're still in first, and then New Jersey's not missing a beat either. Yeah, they're 2 or 3 games ahead of the Canes, and the Canes really, I mean, are only a game or two back on them as well. So they're still hanging in there, and that's with having these spells. That's all you want. Just hang in there. You know,
Yep.
win a game here and there. Go 50-50. Like it's okay. Just get through whatever you need to get through, and then hopefully you come out on the other side feeling better. But yeah, I mean, it's just that the big guy's got to step up. I mean, even Aho said it last night. He's got to be better. I mean, he does. And you kind of saw glimpses of him trying to take over the game last night.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him run end to end like that. There was a couple rushes. He was literally trying to be Marty Necas, and I was like, okay, well,
I was got to say.
this is the. I haven't seen this Aho in a while.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically,
That
so,
was going to be my biggest point is I think while yes, we still lost the game last night, there are so many positives to
I know
take out of the
I'm
game
right there with you. Like
that it's like
yeah.
this isn't a total whitewash of a hockey game. That Ottawa game, yes, it's a loss. We're a struggling team right now in the aspect of we lost our confidence offensively, but that stemmed from us not working hard. What I saw last night was we worked hard to generate chances, and we got chances. And it's
A
like,
lot of them.
okay, yes, it's like, okay, cool. That's the most important thing. Rod always says it. It's not when you stop. It's not when you start missing chances, that's not the problem. It's when you stop getting the chances, that's when it's the problem. If you're
Yeah.
still getting chances, that means you're doing everything else right. You're doing all the little pieces of the game correctly. You're working harder than the other team, and you're doing all of those things correctly. In the previous games, that San Jose game, I think we had 2 scoring opportunities. We scored on both of them, and then we got a lucky flutter shot from the point, Chatfield. Like that's because we just didn't work hard. We didn't have any sort of urgency, and I finally, I think it finally clicked in my brain the difference between urgency and working hard is. Urgency, the difference between the two. Working hard, you can work as hard as you want to, you can skate as fast as you want to, but urgency is the first half a second. The first half a second between you seeing the puck and going to it and the other player seeing the puck and going to it. That's urgency. In that Ottawa game, we were beating teams to 50-50 pucks. We were first to see it. We were first on it. And that's the difference that I haven't seen in the past 3 weeks is any level of urgency. We were getting beats every 50-50 puck. It seemed like we were working hard when we always work hard. We're a Rod team. We're going to work hard. But when you work hard and you're not urgent, that's what it leads to is you're running around a lot and you get caught out, and then you lead to really good scoring chances against. And it's not a fault that we're not working hard. Yes, there's opportunities where guys aren't skating, aren't doing what they need to do, i.e. Marty Necas. I think he had a massive upgrade last night. He was really moving his feet, doing a lot of positives. But you look at a guy like Jordan Martinook, he had a lot of issues the past 5 games as well too, but he always works his bag off. So we're not going to say it. But the difference is Martinook last night, he was a hound on the puck. He was the puck was a little, meat biscuit, and he was an actual hound. He was getting the puck. It didn't matter. So there was the urgency to his game as well too.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's creating a lot more. And that's when your team's working hard but not urgent, you're still going to fail to do things good unless you have a really high end skilled team. You need urgency in your team. Carolina had the urgency last night. That's why I'm not really worried about Carolina right now, because it's a step in the right direction. I think Carolina is a team, like Cam said, ebbs and flows, and it's going to be a big thing this year. We're probably going to have another spell come February, March timeframe where we're going to struggle again. But it's about, working your way out of that, and we're doing it the right way. We're not doing it by luck. We're not doing it by scoring 5 power play goals. We're doing it by, hey, we're going to work our bag off in the corners, generate our own opportunities, and if we get power play goals, we get power play goals. And that's what I saw in the Ottawa game. It just couldn't score. That was the only problem. We just didn't score.
Yeah, I know. And I think the other thing too is that, especially with this crew, is that in a handful of previous games, you almost saw a little bit of panic in the way they played the game. And they were working hard, but they were losing all those 50-50 battles. And, so to your point is spot on as far as urgency versus working hard. I think it's exactly the right definition. And so it just, you hope that, they can really, I think it's just going to take a breakthrough game to get them back to that confidence level. And I think, unfortunately they ran into Linus Ullmark. I mean, so
he's a Vezina winner for a reason.
So
he didn't win it by happen chance.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, you're right. So we'll see what happens. But I agree. I thought Aho looked more like Aho last night, which I think is a good thing, because he hasn't looked like that for me probably
all year.
Yeah. And I think this is where one of your captains, one of your leaders has to step up and put the team on their shoulders and say, I got this A in my chest for a reason. And I will be and am going to be one of the best players in franchise history. And I have to start playing like that. And he has to take the ownership of it. And I think he does. And I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself. And I think maybe he take a little bit of that pressure off and just play. Don't worry about scoring goals. Just play, work hard, be efficient, and win those battles. And then good things happen. It always does.
One thing I just want to prop up before we move on. I know we're trying to keep it tight this week. Do you ever see a situation like in Toronto where they take the C off of Stahl and put it onto Aho? And it's not like a bad thing against Jordan Stahl. I love Jordan Stahl. I think he's an unbelievable leader. And same as John Tavares. I think John Tavares is an unbelievable leader. And I think on probably most other teams, he's probably a captain, if not at least the assistant captain, which he is in Toronto still. I think that the team doesn't follow, not that they don't follow Jordan Stahl, but I think the team goes as far as Aho is going to take them. And I think that that's the sign of a true captain, is like, this team is going to go where Aho goes, and how Aho plays is going to dictate how this team goes. And if Aho's not playing well, the team's not going to be playing well. That's the sign of a true leader. You need that out of your leader. It's like the whole team is buying on board what Sebastian Aho's. He's probably right up there with Jordan Stahl as hardest working guys. I don't doubt he's probably in the gym a bunch. I don't know if you guys see that possible situation. I'm just like, the later and later Jordan Stahl gets into his career, he's going to take more and more reduced minutes and more reduced ice time. You need your leader leading by example on the ice, and nothing that Jordan Stahl does is indicated that he deserves to have it taken off of him. But in the same vein of breath, I don't think anything really deserved John Tavares getting it taken off of him. I just think that the team revolves around Austin Matthews, and I think this team revolves around Sebastian Aho.
Yeah, I think the only way that scenario happens is if Jordan Stahl dictates it to happen.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
I think Jordan Stahl, he will recognize when the C needs to come off his chest, and he will recognize that, and he will tell Rod. He'll say, "Look, it's his team now, not mine." And I think that's what's going to lead to that change if it does happen. I think, but what I think you saw last night is leadership without a title from Sebastian Aho, and I think that's what he can do and will do as the assistant captain. I think he leads. He's going to lead with or without the C in his chest, and he started to show it again last night. Because I 1,000,000% agree with. I don't remember which one of you said it, but the team will follow his lead, and they do. And I think that, but I think the change that you mentioned is going to come from Jordan, not from Rod.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it'll happen when Stahl retires. That's probably when it'll end up happening. I don't know when Stahl's going to retire. I don't know if it's after this year. I don't know if it's in 2 years, 5 years. I have no idea. So
To be fair, the way he's playing lately, I'd give him a couple more years. I mean, he's
yeah,
still
no,
going. Don't get me
he's
wrong.
played. I mean, he's playing well. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's tough, because it's Aho wants the responsibility, but we just talked about taking a little bit more pressure off himself. I mean, if he thrust into the captain situation, I mean that adds
Mm-hmm.
how many gallons of pressure on his back already that he already has. So
Yeah.
it's one of those where you understand why, because you want him and you know that he's going to end up being that, but I don't think they need to rush it for sure. I mean, I think he understands that that's where it's going. So I think he's okay whenever it happens kind of thing. But yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But I mean, like I said, I think Jordan will recognize, even if before he retires, if it's time for the C to go to somebody else, he will make that call, and he'll tell Rod, and Rod will respect it. I think that's really because I honestly believe, Kyle, you've played for Rod. He's not going to. I don't think he'll make that change. If he saw Jordan not doing what he's supposed to do, and being a terrible captain, which we all know he's not,
No.
then maybe. But
Yeah.
I think it's going to come from Jordan, and I would fully expect it to come from Jordan before he retires.
I think it will before he retires, but I think it's going to be one of those probably. I don't disagree with either of you. I think it could very well come after he retires because one of two things will happen. He'll either retire before he's 38 years old, or I think at his 38-year-old kind of hit, he's going to realize, hey, I'm probably going to only play fourth line minutes.
Yeah.
I think at that'll be kind of that turning point because he's 36 now. So 2 more seasons from now, we'll see where he's at. But
yeah.
All
right. Well, I think we'll. I know we're trying to do an express version of this week, just for a lot of reasons. But I think we'll segue off from that topic, and I'll get you guys a little bit of a challenge here.
Are we going to talk about the goalie stuff first?
Well, I thought we had broached it, but we can go back into the goalie.
Well,
stuff.
we hadn't talked about who the trade rumors were for and all.
Oh, well, we can go there. Yeah, let's go there
Yeah.
first. Sorry, I missed that in my agenda list here. So I mean, the goalie situation, we've talked about Kochekov and where he's at in his game. And Kyle turned me back around, to give him a lot more rope than I was giving him about 30 minutes ago. So, but I do still think that we do need a backup or a starter or somebody to play a 1A 1B role. And so there are a couple of rumors swirling around out there, and I think one being John Gibson out of Anaheim. We've talked about guys out of New York. Varlamov. I know he's on the bench, on the shelf at the moment, but I don't know if he's back off injury. But the guys like that. So what do you guys see, think, feel, and who fits best behind the kid?
Yeah, so my understanding, Islanders, Varlamov's going to be off for at least a good little while more, so I don't see them going away from Sorokin. So that whole idea that we might be able to pull one out of New York, I mean, they're starting to turn their season around a little bit. They're starting to win a couple games in a row here, and they're playing Sorokin in back-to-backs. So highly doubt they're going to push off of him. So I don't think we're going to New York. I do foresee, though, possibly getting Gibson out of Anaheim. And from my understanding, there's not a whole lot of chatter on the kind of the wire about goaltenders. And so it seems like if it is going to happen, it could be done at a pretty cheap deal. And to be completely transparent, I wouldn't be surprised if Freddie Anderson heads the other way. The only reason I'm saying that is we need to come up with some space because Gibson's making 7.5. Even if they take 50%, that's still 4.5. Where Freddie's only making 2.5 right now. So we're still going to have to make up some extra room in order to get Gibson in under contract, even if Anaheim's to retain 50%, unless we do some crazy three-way shenanigans. We're giving, Utah first round to get, them to take 25% as well too, which I don't foresee happening either. So somebody has to come off the books. I wouldn't be surprised to see Freddie go the other way. Wouldn't also be surprised to see, and I know we kind of chatted about him in the last pregame, somebody like a Ryan Suzuki heading the other way.
Yeah, I was going
Somebody
to ask
that's
you, what do you think it is? Is it prospects or is it draft picks or just draft picks and money?
I think Anaheim's looking for depth players now. I think that they want to start their rebuild. They're going to start, not really start their rebuild, but I think they want to finalize their rebuild and start the next step. I don't think they're going to do it with the current coach, so I don't think it's going to happen until Cronin's gone. But they want to get to that next level, and they're planning on doing it around Dostal. So if they're going to do it around Dostal, all they're looking for is really a guy to fill in the excess games. I think Freddie would be perfect in that role. I think John Gibson wants to win. He's stated that he wants to win. He's been his entire career in Anaheim. Outside of his first 2 seasons, he hasn't really had playoff experience or hasn't really been to the playoffs. So he wants all that experience. I think he would be a good fit in Carolina. It just has to come at the right price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know the Canes it was really the Canes and Colorado in on Blackwood, and Colorado ended up pulling the trigger and sending Georgiev the other way for Blackwood. So, yeah, like you said, there's not many teams that are really kind of pushing hard for a goalie. So the Canes kind of are in right now today. What is it? December 14th. As of today, there's not many teams that are really interested in acquiring a very either a veteran or a high producing goalie.
That can change tonight.
That could change tonight. So one team gets their starter injured, and guess what? That's another person on the market looking. And
I promise you, Shesterkin gets injured, New York's looking.
New York is 100%. If he gets a long-term injury,
yeah, New York's looking.
Sure. So it really just depends. I know the Canes have, I think, gone back and forth a couple of times with Anaheim about a Gibson trade, and it just, like you said, it hasn't been at the right price. I don't even know how old Gibson is.
I want to say he's in his early to mid 30s. I'll look it up right now, though.
If he's early 30s, I think the Canes are more apt to do it. If he's in his mid to late 30s, why would you do it?
Yeah.
For me,
31.
Why would he's
Okay.
what, 31?
31.
Okay.
So he's a 93.
Okay. You think about, you pick him up and you sign him to a 4-year deal or something like that, assuming he produces. Like you bring him in on his contract that he's currently on, and then if he produces, you can sign him to an extension. You could probably get him at a better price, especially because he wants to probably be on a contender because he's never really been on one. So yeah, you look at that. You could look at a team like St. Louis maybe getting Binnington out of there because they have another goalie there too that is kind of competing for the number one. So
it's the last person in the world I want to have on my team. I'm sorry.
I know how psychotic he can be, but he's a Stanley Cup winner. He's a gamer. You can be there.
Only reason
that was 5 years ago. I'm not saying that it wasn't, but I don't know. That's just another spitball. Obviously, Sorokin would probably be, for me, that would be the best goaltender that the Canes could get feasibly. The problem is with the Islanders, like you said, they start winning some games. That team is so mismanaged that as soon as Lou sees 2 wins, he's like, nope, no more trades. No, nobody's doing anything. And then as soon as they lose 2, he's scratching everybody and sending everybody to the minors. So that's how that team's run. It's crazy. I feel bad for the fans of that team because they're just going to be mediocre for such a long period of time because of the bad contracts, and they just don't have the right pieces in there. And yeah, it's going to be bad for them. So unless they go into a full-blown rebuild, I don't really see them dishing Sorokin.
I don't either.
Especially with Varlamov being injured. They're going to pretty much he's going to be their number one, and he's going to start every single game for the foreseeable future. So
The second I saw him playing in back-to-backs, because he played against us, and then the next night he played again, and because I was watching the Islanders game. I'm not gonna lie, I started watching more Islanders games because I played with somebody that is on that team, so it is kind of cool seeing Kyle McLean playing in the NHL. So I will watch some more just to see him. But outside of that, once I saw him playing in back-to-backs, I was like, they're not getting rid of him. There's no chance. There's no chance in the world that they're going to get rid of him.
Yeah. So I mean, it's one of those too where a lot of the times teams, you look at these goalies and that these teams have. 90% of these teams have developed these goalies, and they're now at the top level for them. I mean, you look at some of the teams that are on the top that have a top tier goalie. I mean, the only one I can think of that really just went out and acquired a top tier was Florida with Bobrovsky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at Shesterkin was developed, Ottinger was developed. I mean, you're looking at
the only other one is Ullmark to me. Ullmark started in Buffalo, went to Boston.
The other team as well that went out and just splashed as well. But I mean, you even look at a team like Calgary. You get Vladar out of there. I think Vladar is a great goalie because obviously for Calgary, Dustin Wolf is their number one. He's
their new guy. Yeah,
they want them to be their guy. But I think Vladar's been better than Wolf. I think he's played outstanding. I mean, the games that the Canes played against him, he played well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of when that was. I think that was in October. But
yeah, we ended up winning the game, but Vladar played well.
Yeah, he was the only reason it wasn't like 12-1. So
that's what I mean. Like he was literally the only reason. And when Calgary was doing their East Coast swing, I was able to watch a couple of games, and he played I think in one or two, and he was really good. That's another team that I could see. Vejmelka out of Utah. That's a name that's been tossed around. I don't love it. I mean, I think he's okay. I think he's a good backup. I don't think he's like a tandem guy.
No, that's the difference. I think Kochetkov right now needs a tandem.
He's a backup guy, but I don't.
He needs a guy to learn from.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I want to stay away from Jordan Binnington as far away as possible is because Kochetkov already has that fuse. The last thing we need is him learning from a guy that's got an even shorter fuse.
He's got a lighter and gasoline.
He's got lighter gasoline, and he's ready to pop.
He's ready to blow at any moment.
Yeah, I'm all set with Jordan Binnington. But.
Yeah, I like the John Gibson path, quite honestly. Here's the only thing that we'll last question and we'll table this one. But how much do you give up if we think that we're still in a transition year or sort of a gap year? Do we go conservative, or do we go and sort of bet the farm that with the number one, we can turn the corner and be a legitimate Stanley Cup contender?
I think that Kochetkov's the number one in the future. I think he's going to learn. He's going to become a really top end tier goalie. I think Carolina knows that. I think we need somebody to get us through this period because I think that, yes, it is a gap year, but I think we have as much potential as we've had any year past. I mean, outside of the decor changing, which I honestly probably got maybe a hot swap. That's the extent of it. This has been the same core year in, year out. We haven't lost that many key pieces up front. I mean, we lost Gensel, but we had him for 2 months. We lost Trocheck 2 years ago. Yeah, that one hurt, but we still haven't 100% replaced him, but we've managed and we've made it. We're not in any worse situation than we have been in years past. It's not like we lost Aho, Necas, and Svechnikov, and they're all out or they all got we still have players and we still have a lot of the same team that brought us to these playoffs in the years past. I still think we have a legitimate chance at making a run at it if we get hot at the right time. You need a goalie in order to do that. I don't think Kochetkov maybe is 100% there. I think he's about 93% loaded. So somebody that can take over and just kind of manage games a little bit better than he can, I think is going to be a massive help. I think Carolina's window reopens. We're one of those really strange teams where we are probably never really fully opened the window yet. I think our window genuinely opens starting next year because we're bringing in arguably probably 2 or 3 of the best prospects in the NHL, quote unquote, in Nikishin, Ungersorum, and Nadeau. If all 3 of those guys end up making that transition next year. And I mean, even Scott Morrow's
Scott Morrow, yeah.
even he's highly thought after.
The other week.
Yeah. Like I said, I think, yes, our window is still open, but I don't think that this is as wide open as it's going to be. I think we give it a couple more years and it's more wide open because I think Kochetkov seasons himself out a little bit more. I genuinely, I have not been this high on a goalie. I liked Alex Nedeljkovic, but I saw where Carolina saw issues with him. There were issues outside of, not outside of the ice, because I don't think anybody had a bad thing to say about the guy, but on the ice, you saw issues with his game. And it's like, okay, maybe he's always going to be just kind of a backup. That's going to be his top spot. I think Kochetkov, you look at his game and it's like when he's on his game and he's playing 100% to his level, which I don't think we've seen a full performance from him this year, but we've seen it in past. He is unbelievable. It's just he's got to get the confidence with it too. And I think that we just need somebody to get us through this little stretch here before he becomes 100% him in his full form. I think picking up a John Gibson the rest of this year, maybe signing him to a 2-year deal, makes a ton of sense for Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I like I said, I just don't want to give up the farm, but at the same time, if we need a teacher, I think he would be a good one.
When is Tulsky / Waddell ever given up the farm for anything though?
No, I agree. I agree with you. But you may have to do it to get a guy like with sort of his pedigree. So you may have to give up a little more than you want, but I just don't want to give up the guys like the guys you talked about.
I think
if it's draft picks, great. I mean, I'm okay with that.
I think
if you're gonna give up the farm, get a younger, like a gamer, like get Dostal. Seriously,
get
like,
Sorokin.
If you're gonna give up the farm,
if we're giving up the farm, go get Sorokin. That's what I'd rather.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, go get an elite guy that's mid to late 20s that you can sign for a 6 or 8 year deal, and they're gonna be very, very high level performative for at least 5 of those 8 years.
The only thing I counter that is unless you think Kochetkov is, unless I have my own personal opinions, unless you think Kochetkov is going to be better than that goalie in 5 years time, which I think he's going to be better than a lot of goalies in 5 years time, we're not going to be able to re-sign him if we take on a goalie that we signed 6-7 years at a bigger number. So we were to intake like a Sorokin and he wants a contract next year at 10. I don't think Carolina is going to be able to re-sign Kochetkov with somebody coming in at that number. So it's more or less, it's like you have to play a little bit of a prediction game. So I think bringing somebody in, if we had brought in a Freddie Anderson at his number and he is just able to stay healthy, that is a perfect fit. That's a perfect fit. It's just Freddie can't stay healthy. So I think John Gibson brings us a little bit more of that Freddie at a more of a, he can stay through a season. He has the healthy aspect of it.
Yeah. But
we'll see. You know what?
Here's what I'm going to leave it on. That I think it's going to be Ryan Suzuki. I think it's going to be Freddie Anderson. I think it's probably going to be a 2nd or a 3rd round draft pick, and then John Gibson in return.
Yeah, I hope they just keep some of the salary. If that's the case, I
think that's with them keeping the salary.
If we throw in more players, they'll probably keep more of the salary. But I mean, who knows? I mean, you'd love to get one of the guys even out of Toronto. I mean, Stolars and Wall are playing out of their mind right now. And Toronto hasn't had that in, God.
Yeah, I know.
You're not going to
tandem.
I think Stolars just got hurt too.
Yeah, over whoever their GM's dead body. They haven't had consistent goaltending in 10 years. They're not going to all of a sudden give away anybody now.
Yeah, there'll be a public flogging in Toronto if Tree Living gets rid of a goaltender.
Tree Living will be publicly executed in the streets of Chicago, in the streets of Toronto if he does that. Like, they finally have good goaltending. He can't go out and trade one of them.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, we'll table that one. We're at the 45-minute mark of the program, so we want to kind of spin around to the next segment. So new segment, new segment, I guess we'll call it.
We've done it in the past, but
we've done it in the past. We're going to hit a little bit of trivia. I got a handful of questions here that
I'm on this side of the trivia, which is more fun.
Yeah, I know. So this is these are all Canes Whalers related questions that executive producer Abby put together for you guys to go through. So we'll get rolling on that. So I'll go through a handful of questions, and I'll probably do 4 or 5 this week, and then we'll just add some more next week. How about that?
Sounds good.
So first one, and this is going to be a little bit of a tough one. So I'm going to throw the grenade right away.
Oh, good.
So, how many future Hall of Famers played for the Hartford Whalers during their inaugural season? Now, I know you guys don't have any Whalers, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. So I'll give you guys it's just going to be for you guys probably just a dart. And for me, it was a dart too. I had I had an idea,
The
but
Whalers inaugural
The
season.
Whalers?
yeah. So
Inaugural
God
season?
we're going
damn.
way deep in the weeds. Yeah.
When did they even? I know
don't
this
even
is
know when
Well,
they
they were
yeah.
they were in the old WHA, and then they moved over when like Edmonton came into the league. And,
Yeah, I know that, but when did they originate? Is it just their first year in the NHL?
yeah, the first year in the NHL season. So
I don't
they were
even
back in
I
the
don't even think I have any
80s.
guesses.
Because
So
wasn't Ron Francis drafted by Hartford and then he went to Pittsburgh and then came back?
he was.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say Ron Francis is one of them.
Well, you don't have to give me a name.
I
You
know,
just
but
have
I'm
to give
just
me a
trying
number.
to get a
just a
general
number?
idea. Yeah,
Yeah, it's either 1, 2,
one
3, or
through
4.
4. So we
It's either
had
1, 2, 3, or 4. I'm gonna go 2.
I think 3,
Okay, well, it's actually 4.
4. So
Yeah,
Ron Francis. Who are the
no,
other
and actually,
3?
Ron Francis wasn't one of them.
Oh, really?
The 4 are Mark Howe, Dave
Okay.
Keon, Bobby Hull, and Gordie Howe.
I
Yeah.
forget Bobby Hull switched to the WHA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot
Yeah,
about that.
because he was in Winnipeg, and so he was in part of that whole circle.
Yeah.
So, question number 2: who was the first Hurricanes player with 50 goals in a season? Was it Eric Stahl, Sylvain Turgeon, Jeff Sanderson, or Blaine Stoughton?
I know Sylvain Turgeon did it with Hartford. I don't know if he did it with Carolina, though. That's
First
my
50
question,
goal.
because outside of that, I think it's Eric Stahl.
That Sanderson name sounds familiar to me. Of like a guy that was gamer. I don't know much about. Unfortunately, I'm not too brushed up on.
All right, so we'll
I'm gonna
our
hold on.
trivia for
I'll
Canes.
take the guess. I think it's Turgeon. I think Turgeon did it.
okay.
All right, yeah, we'll stick with that. That's fine.
All right, so it's actually Blaine Stoughton.
Who is Blaine Stout?
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
but he actually was early on in the transition. So he came over in the 97, 98 season and played in the. So I think he played in the Greensboro days.
The guy I said had 50 with Hartford, correct?
He did. Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So did Anderson. So did Sanderson, but it was with
So
Hartford. And not with
all
Carolina.
of them had 50 at
They
some
did.
point in their
Mhm.
career. Okay.
Okay.
Correct.
It was just about who was the first in the
Who's
transition.
the first in the Hurricane sweater?
Did Turgeon
Like the
go to
SAT.
Carolina? Was he?
No,
He never.
he went to St. Louis from Hartford.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So,
I just couldn't remember if he made the train. I know he was right around that time. Okay.
yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
question number 3: who has the highest single season save percentage in franchise history?
Carolina or Hartford?
Franchise. So both.
Franchise. Cam, I'm gonna put it out there. I think it's Jean-Sebastien Giguère.
It might be Giguère.
It's just,
Well,
I think it's.
he's not one of the 4 on my list.
Oh well, then give me the 4. Jesus.
So
I thought,
you guys,
No,
didn't get-
Jean-Sebastien had the
That's
best
my
rookie
bad.
numbers. That was it. Sorry.
yeah. So it would be either Archer Zerbe, Cam Ward, Anton Khudobin, and Trevor Kidd.
I don't think it's Qdoba, so I'll take his name out. I don't think
I
it's
think
Trevor
it might be
Kidd. I think
Urbe.
it's either Urbe or Wardo. Most wins in a season.
Nope. Highest single season save
Highest
percentage.
Single season save percentage. The problem with Ward is that after the cup run, after he came in as a rookie, they stunk for
Yeah.
10 years. So I don't think he had a good save percentage. Probably like
Didn't he win a
highest
Vezina?
out of anybody. I mean, Urbe played the whole season when they went to the cup final in 2002. So I'm gonna go Urbe. That's my guess.
I'll be different. I'll go Ward because I think he had a season. I think it was like the 08-09 season. He was out of his mind.
You're both wrong. It's actually Anton Khudobin.
Is it really Anton?
And honestly, until I saw this question, I had completely forgotten he played for us.
No, I remember him playing for us.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
didn't
remember
even
him
know he
having the
played.
best save
I was-
percentage in
I was
franchise
associating him with the
history.
Lightning, so I never even. Knew he
Okay, so
played.
the
God,
last,
we suck. Okay,
Yeah.
last one. Yeah, get us the hell out of here.
so the
Yeah.
last one, I'm trying to get a good
we
one
got
here.
a
for
single
you.
one right.
Let's see. Okay, so we'll do this one. We'll go back to a playoff game. So who scored the game-winning goal in the Miracle at Molson? Was it Ron Francis, Darren Langdon, Nick Wallin, or Sammy Kapanen?
I think it was Nick Wallin. Or was that? No,
I'm-
that had. I think that was Nick Wallin.
So the problem is we played New Jersey on the 02 run, we played them on the 06 run, and we also played them on the 08 run because Eric Stahl scored the miracle on the Rock, and that was Eric Stahl's, and that was in the 08-09 run, I want to say. It's either Nick Wallin from the 06 run, but I don't remember it being called the...
Wallin didn't play in 06.
The miracle at Molson is when they
Yes.
played the Canadians.
When they played the Canadians.
Because Molson is actually...
I'm a dumbass. Yeah, I'm so stupid.
So is it Francis?
We can't. Let me. Sorry, Cam. Wallin won the cup with us in 06.
I will tell you that. Yes, he did.
Yeah. So Nick Wallin won the cup with us in 06. So it's
that.
either the first series in Montreal, which in the I'm gonna have to say it's the 02 run. So it's probably not Nick Wallin, and it's probably who? Can you give me the names again? Sorry.
It's Ron Francis, Darren Langdon, Nick Wallin, or Sammy Kapanen.
So take Wallin out of there. So it's either Kapanen, Francis, or Langdon. It's going to be Nick Wallin, isn't it? Because I just jinxed the shit out of us. I'm going to go, yeah, let's go Nick Wallin. Fuck it.
It is Nick Wallin.
Yeah, there it is. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, and that was actually game 3. I think it was game 3. And we were down big in that game. And that we were also down 2-0 in the series.
Well, we were down the same in the 06 series.
Well, that's what I mean. This was from the 06.
He didn't score the game winner in the game 3. It was Eric Stahl that scored the game winner in game 3.
I'll do some back checking.
I know for a fact Eric Stahl scored in overtime in game 3 of that series. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Yeah,
all right, you guys, we can go ahead.
So I'll let you do the background, and I put very much faith in my producer that she gave me the right information. So I'm going to challenge you on that one. So
game 3 versus Montreal.
Yeah,
2006.
It may not have been game 3. It may have been another game, but it was definitely in Montreal. And
okay, I'm thinking game. Okay, so game 3, Carolina won 2-1, so it probably wouldn't have been that game. But in game 3, Eric Stahl scored the overtime winner in that one. Must be game 4 or something.
Yeah. Or it could be game 6, because game 6 would have been in Carolina or in Montreal.
I'm just trying to. Okay, yeah, we can move on. It's not that. I trust Abby to give us proper information.
So, anyway, so we'll spin off that one. Come back with some questions maybe next week or in the weeks to come. She's got probably a dozen or 20 or so questions here that we'll go through. So anyway, so we'll head into the final. Yeah, we're about at the hour mark here. 3 stars, maybe a tough one this week, but I guess let's get into our 3 stars, and then we'll close it out with kind of upcoming games and what we see ahead for the Canes. So, Cam, you want to go first, or you have your list yet?
For my 3, I probably would pick number 3. I'd pick Gostisbehere. I think he had a really good night last night. He was our best. I think he was our best player last night. He was all over it.
He was crazy.
He didn't score. Him and Walker were our best D pair last night, I think, which is surprising, defensively and offensively. So I think they were the best. So I give a lot of credit to Gostisbehere for sure. Number 2, probably going to go Carrier. I think he had a good week, even though he didn't get any points. I still think he, had a good couple games. And I'm trying to for number 1. I'm kind of struggling with that. I don't really know nobody's really stepped up and been number 1. I'll just go with Walker, because I think he's played consistent for the last couple of games for sure, and him and Gostisbehere have probably been our most impressive pairing for the week. So
all right, 3 defensemen.
I'll just go. Yeah,
you went Carrier too.
Oh, Carrier. Sorry, yeah, you're right.
I went Carrier. Yeah, but 2 defensemen. The offense has just not been there, so it's hard to pick guys up front. So, but yeah, I'll go with those 3.
I can go next.
You got yours?
I'm going to take, and this is just kind of a spiteful one. I hate to say it. I'm going to take Jesperi Kotkaniemi at 3. I think he's gotten the short end of the stick this year. In all honesty, I know Rod changes his line combinations, but all the time, but it always seems like Kotkaniemi gets the short end of that stick, and I really don't think he's deserved it. I think he's had arguably been the best forward outside of I'm with you, Cam Carrier, but he's on my list as well too. So I think KK is making strides into the right direction. He's not turning pucks over all the time. There's still mistakes, but everybody makes those, and I think that he needs to be given a little bit more leash. I think his issue is he grips the stick way too tight because he's scared if he makes any level of mistake, he's going to be sent down. So it's one of those things. It's like you got to give the guy some rope to allow him to actually start producing and doing what he does best. I think we're seeing glimpses of it. He's very physical. He's hard on the forecheck. He's got good hands. I mean, last night he almost went forehand, backhand right in front of the net, and it was crazy. But like, just give him more time to actually do what he does and give him a genuine leash. Be like, listen, you have the rest of the year as the second line center. You're not going to get taken off of it. You're going to play second line center the rest of the year. This is your leash, but go play free. He hasn't played free his entire career. He just needs to play without care, and he's playing with so much care that you can tell every time he gets the puck, it's like a hot potato because he just wants to get the hell off his stick so he doesn't make a mistake. So I think he's played well. I think he's making strides into the right direction. Unfortunately, Jack Drury is out with a hand injury, but could be a very big blessing for KK because he gets a chance to play with Marty Necas again. Second star is going to be, as Cam said, Gostisbehere, and this is solely for last night's game. I thought he was unbelievably good. I thought offensively, defensively, very stout, good defensively. Offensively, he was carrying the charge. He was about the only player on the ice that I thought for 3 straight periods was on his game. He was playing really well. I thought Carolina as a whole played really well last night, but I thought he didn't have a shift off. And number 1 star for the week is going to be William Carrier. And that is purely based on the fact that he was the only player, I think, in the past 2 weeks that has played a consistent hockey game. Yes, the points have not followed him. Yes, I understand that portion of it. He's not lighting up the scoreboard, but he's working his bag off, and that's all you can ask for. He's the only one on the team that seems to have any urgency. He's the only one that seems to have the passion that we need. I love William Carey's game. I think he's been the best pickup for Carolina in this offseason. Maybe Ghost is up there too, but I really like Carrier.
Yeah, no, I think between the two of you, I have everybody the same. I have, I flip-flopped a couple of them, and I'm still trying to decide on which one I do one and two. But I think at the end of the day, it's you could kind of do 1A, 1B for both these guys, for me anyways. But I agree with you, Kyle. I think KK has had he's been gotten the short side of the deal here. But I think with what he's been able to do and what he's been able to produce, what he's been given, I think he is showing that he needs to be given that opportunity. I had Aho in there too as sort of I flip flop between him and KK as a third star. But I think Aho only showed, glimpses of it last night, getting back to his game. So hopefully next week and I'm giving him a much higher grade at this point, which I think I will. Second, here's where I flip flopped. My 1 and 2 are Ghost and Carrier. So I kind of flip flop between one or the other. I think consistently, I agree with you, Kyle. Carrier has been our best player over the last 2 weeks. And I think, but Ghost, has a okay game against San Jose, but has an incredible game last night against Ottawa. So I guess I'll go Carrier 1 and Ghost 2. I think, and also an honorable mention too, just I'm going to mention, I thought Burns in San Jose game was probably one of our best players. So I think he sort of was on the outside looking in because, I mean, he played okay last night. I think Slavin played okay last night. I don't think I don't know. Slavin is just, he needs a different partner. I think we've all said this, and I think we're going to say it again at nauseum, but he needs a different partner.
I don't think we'll see it this year.
I know we won't. Wishful thinking, but you can see it in his game. because of playing alongside Brett Burns, great guy, super guy, probably off the ice, but he's struggling in his it's allowing his game to struggle a little bit right now. So we'll see. But I got Kyrie, Ghost, and KK as my 1, 2, 3.
All right.
So at some point here, Kyle, we need to do a summary of that. How we are, who's kind of leading the leaderboard on 1, 2, and 3, and not that it's important, but be kind of cool to see.
I'll make a spreadsheet at some point.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're just over the hour mark, and so we'll get to the wrap for the week and upcoming games. We like Kyle said earlier, we're recording this on Saturday, so we got a game tomorrow against Columbus, and we'll chat about that game next week. And then we got Tuesday, I believe the Islanders come to town, and then we hit the road for a couple of games against Washington and the Rangers before they head into the Christmas break. So I think tomorrow, the Columbus game, Columbus is a good team, but if we get to our game early and play like we played against Ottawa, they don't have Linus Ullmark in that. So I think that game should be, if we play like we played against Ottawa, a good outcome for the Hurricanes, and honestly the same against the Islanders. So we'll just we'll see which team shows up. Hopefully they take the momentum from, even though they lost the game, they take the momentum from Ottawa and in the third period against the Sharks, and work that into this week's game. So let's hope for a good outcome for the week to come.
Thing I love about this week is it's the redemption tour for Carolina. Two teams we've lost to very recently. We get to play them again. Columbus we lost to, and New York we lost to. So I fully expect this is going to be two different outcomes than the previous ones. I think Carolina found their game last night. I just think, again, couldn't score. But I think Carolina knows they found their game last night. Yeah, Aho was saying post-game, needs to be better. He needs to do this, but he's been saying that all year. I think last night he actually proved that it's going to be different. I think that we're going to have a different look in that Columbus game. I think we're going to be flying. Would not be out of realm if they score 3 or 4 in the first against Columbus. That's what I got this week. So
yeah, no, I'm good too. Like we've kind of covered all of it. I mean, they gotta get wins. So, and again, I mean, I don't know what expectations would be for this week. I think it's 4 Metro teams in a row. So, I mean, they need.
I mean, on paper, the only team that would pose I'll call it a statistical challenge would be the Capitals.
Yeah.
So,
but again, we've seen that. Same thing with Ottawa and San Jose, but they've been challenging. So it'll be interesting to see how the Canes start to ramp back up again, playing against the Capitals, because that's really the team that can be. I mean, they're playing well. They got Carberry's got everybody going, and I don't know what it is or what changed from last year to this year, or I don't know, but they're getting it all right now. So that's the game I'm looking forward to the most, for sure.
Yeah. They got a lot of young guys that have just got another year under their belt. This McMichael kid, and I think they're getting some of the production from their prospects and depth players that they weren't getting in years past. So you can see it, and they're always tough, but they're more so tough now because of that reason. As the aging players go out, young guys come in under the system, and they're just really working in the right direction at the moment, and we'll have to have our A game. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. One final thing before you finalize wrap up. I'm hearing a lot of rumors that Peter Laviolette will be let go within the week.
I could see it.
Yeah, I could see it too.
It's not his fault, but I could see it.
Yeah,
I don't think it's not 100% not his fault. I think that there are issues that Laviolette has. He does not trust young guys, hence why he was let go in Washington. Now look what Washington's doing with all their young players. He was not willing to bring up Connor McMichael. He was not willing to bring up half of these guys that Carberry's brought up. Look at the difference between New York and, I mean, New York has not. I think that there's limitations to what Laviolette can do, and I think that he's run his course in New York, and I would not be surprised if he's out by the end of the week.
Yeah, he's reached his sell-by date, that's for sure.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
so anyway, so we'll unless you guys got anything else, we'll wrap for the week. And again, we thank you guys for hanging in there. We're right at the 1 hour mark, and but that'll do it for this week's episode. And please make sure if you do enjoy what we're doing, please like everything we're doing on all of our social media platforms. Follow us, subscribe to the channel, and because the more you do it, the better it is for us. So we're able to do more stuff and bring you more content. So anyways, until next week, for Cam, Kyle, and myself, have a great week.